It's my birthday weekend, and I thought I would do something a little bit different than my typical Sunday uploads. For today's video, I will be sharing with you a little bit of a get to know me Q&A session with questions that I have found, as well as questions from you, the viewers. So get comfortable and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Tayler, and I will be your host. It is my 39th birthday weekend, and if you're watching this the day that it goes live, which would be Sunday, my birthday was yesterday, Saturday, April 15th, and I am so happy to be here with you guys today doing something a little bit different as a way to celebrate the big 3-9. I remember back in 2020, a really popular video that was going around YouTube was called the Get to Know Me tag video, and I don't know if that meant like I tell you about myself and then I tag somebody else to tell everybody about themselves. I don't really know how it worked, but I remember watching a few of them and there was just the standard list of questions and the person answered the questions pretty rapid fire as a way to have you, the viewer, get to know them a little bit better. Well, I was thinking about what to do for today's episode of the podcast, and I didn't want to do the traditional podcast episode because I just thought it would be a fun opportunity to share a little bit more about myself with you outside of the realm of knitting for the most part. And so I thought about the Get to Know Me tag questions. I found a list of those questions, and they are pretty simple questions, but then I threw a question out to you guys over on Instagram, letting you know that I was going to be doing this, and if you had any questions for me, I would love to hear from you, and I would love to try and answer them here on the episode of the podcast. So I'll be combining these questions that I've pulled as well as questions from you guys that were submitted over on Instagram for a little get to know me better Q&A session. Okay, but before we dive right in, I do want to mention, now you may or may not know this, I am the owner and hand dyer of Fibre for the People yarn. It's a hand dyed yarn business where I dye beautiful variegated yarns and sometimes solid yarns and sometimes speckled yarns, and I offer them for sale in bi-monthly shop updates. If you'd like to learn more about Fibre for the People, check out Fibre for the People on Instagram. All of that is linked down below in the description box. You can also head over to fibreforthepeople.com and mark your calendars because a shop update is coming on Saturday, April 29th at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And also, if you'd like to help support the Wool Needles Hands channel and the work that I'm doing here, definitely don't forget to head over to woolneedleshands.com. You can check out my knitting patterns that I have for sale over there, as well as check out the merch shop where we have lots of fun conversation starters to show your support and love for your favorite knitting podcast. Okay, now I am ready to dive in. So we're going to start with some quick fire questions and then I'll move to some questions from you guys and then we'll go back and forth from there. How old are you? I'm 39 today. How tall are you? I am 5'4" or 162.5 centimeters tall. Do you have any siblings? I do. My older brother's name is Tayler. He lives in Texas with his wife Jessica and their 2 daughters Lou and Rio. What is your favorite color? My favorite color to look at and to observe is purple. My favorite color to wear is black. What is the last movie you went to and what did you think about it? The last movie we actually went to a movie theater to see was the Super Mario Brothers movie. We just went a few days ago. We rode our bikes there with the boys and had a great time. It's a really great movie. If you are a fan of Super Mario Brothers from like childhood and playing it on a Nintendo and Super Nintendo, you'll get a kick out of the movie. It was everything it needed to be and nothing that it didn't. What did you want to be when you were small? When I was really little, and like in my own words as a child, I wanted to be a cooker or a hair cutter. If you could choose to do anything for an entire day, what would it be? This is like an easy question for me to answer. It's the first thing that comes to my mind and it is absolutely what I would want to do. And that would be to ride a horse through the open countryside for the entire day and ride with reckless abandon. I would absolutely love that. I love horses. Side note, horses are my favorite animal. I absolutely love them. I would love to just have a horse, hop on and go for a ride. What is your favorite game or sport to watch and play? I don't really play organized sports, but my favorite sport to watch is ice hockey, and then second to that is baseball. But in terms of playing any of these sports, I'm not really into organized sports. I never have been. I didn't play any kind of sport in high school. I was always really into recreational sports. I was really big into running, skiing, snowboarding, ice skating, but nothing like ball sports, nothing like that.
Any activity where balls fly at my nose?
I tried tennis for a while, but I don't think I was that great at it. Would you rather ride a bike, ride a horse, or drive a car? Ride a horse. That's amazing. That's just like the same question we just answered. Yeah, ride a horse for sure. What would you sing at karaoke night? This is not a hard one. You know, there's so many songs out there. I feel like there are a lot of fun ones to sing where you can really get into it and have something really upbeat. But honestly, the song that comes to mind when it comes to what I would want to sing at karaoke night is Mr. Jones by the Counting Crows. Like that is like absolutely one of my favorite songs of all time. It's just a fantastic sound, a fantastic song. It's so fun to sing. So yeah, like if I had to pick one song for karaoke night and that was all I could sing that whole night, it would be Mr. Jones by the Counting Crows. No competition. What two radio stations do you listen to in the car the most? I actually do not listen to the radio in the car. I mean, I don't listen to local radio stations, really. I tend to listen to just, I don't know, audio podcasts or things like that. But when I was a kid, it was 103.5 The Edge, which was like the alternative music station.
Cutting edge of rock, 103.5 The Edge.
Going back to like my youth and growing up in town, that was my go-to radio station. Which would you rather do? Wash dishes, mow the lawn, clean the bathroom, or vacuum the house? Vacuum the house. What's wrong with you? If you could hire someone to help you, would it be with cleaning, cooking, or yard work? Cooking. I do not do the cooking in the household. I will do breakfast and lunch. It's not like I refuse to do it. It just works out this way because my husband loves to cook and he's fantastic at it. So that kind of has just become his, his thing. That's what he does. He cooks. And I love not having that responsibility. I do all sorts of other things, but that's just one kind of thing around the house that I like to let him handle.
Where is the soap?
But cleaning, I mean, shoot, if somebody wants to come in and deep clean my house, I would love that. Yard work, I kind of like doing. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? Probably my mom's meatballs. My mom makes the absolute best meatballs. They give me hiccups every single time. Whenever there's a meal that I really like, I tend to kind of dive into it really fast. And so I start eating kind of quickly and you suck in a lot of air. That's how you know something's really good. Either it's really spicy or it's just delicious and it gives you hiccups. But my mom's meatballs, man, they are bar none the best. Have you ever had a nickname and what is it? Yes. My childhood nickname with my parents was Ladybug. And then my nickname in high school was Tay Tay. It's a horrible nickname, but it stuck and it was fine. Do you like or dislike surprises? It depends on the surprise. Does that defeat the purpose of the surprise? Probably. In the evening, would you rather play a game, visit a relative, watch a movie, or read? Play a game. I like to play games. I think that would be fun. But it depends. This depends. Who would you want to be stranded with on a deserted island? My husband. My husband, Brandon. That's not even a question.
Well done! Well done!
How many pairs of shoes do you own? I don't own a lot of pairs of shoes. I feel like I could just tell you right now. I can tell you what they are. My Vans, my Birkenstocks, my Mules, my Converse All-Stars, Chelsea boots, Huarache sandals, flip-flops, slides, strappy numbers for going out. Oh, and I've got a pair of New Balance sneakers. 10.
Ha-ha! That's it! Number 10!
10 pairs of shoes. If you were a superhero, what powers would you have? I would need to be able to fly, I would need to be able to be invincible, and I would need to be able to be super strong. I would also need to have a spirit animal to follow me around. If you could share a meal with any 4 individuals, living or dead, who would they be? Okay, Lucille Ball, Julia Roberts, Queen Elizabeth I, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. There you have it. How many pillows do you sleep with? I start with 2 and I typically finish with 1. What's the tallest building you've been to the top in? It's a weird wording. I think it's probably the Stratosphere Tower here in Las Vegas. I don't think I've been to the top of anything taller than that. Not that I can recall. So yeah, I would say the Stratosphere Tower in Las Vegas, Nevada. Would you rather trade intelligence for looks or looks for intelligence? Why trade when you got both, huh? How often do you buy clothes? Not often. What's the most daring thing you've ever done? I touched the Liberty Bell when we were in Philadelphia and I got in trouble for it. I'm a very tactile person, especially when it comes to historical landmarks and things from history. I want to touch them. It makes me feel closer to the past. It's a whole thing. Well, we were visiting the Liberty Bell and it was right there, less than 3 feet from my face and perfectly within reach. I'm blocked off by like a cord going around the Liberty Bell, and I am not supposed to touch it.
Can't touch this.
But I did brazenly reach my hand and I stroked the Liberty Bell. That's the one that comes to my mind. I'm sure there's something else out there that I've done that probably isn't SFW. Are you a clean or messy person? I am a very clean and tidy person. Everything in its place and a place for everything. I like things to be neat and tidy and clean. Absolutely. Do you love or hate roller coasters? I have a healthy respect for roller coasters. What's your favorite movie? Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock. Is your glass half full or half empty? It depends on the day. There are days when the glass is half empty, and there are days when the glass is half full. And there are days when who knows what the hell is in the glass. What's the most interesting thing you can see out of your office window? Well, there's a Nerf dart stuck to the window right over there. If you could join any past or current music group, which would you want to join? Probably the Cranberries.
Do you have to let it linger?
That was one of my absolute favorite bands, kind of like coming of age. That was just one of my absolute favorites. So yeah, the Cranberries. Have you ever been out of the country? Yes, I have. I have been to Whistler, Canada, via Vancouver, Canada. I have been to Barcelona, Lyon, France, Paris, France, Provence, Cadaqués, Spain, small areas along the border of Mexico and California. And that is it. Okay, so now those are some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to some that you guys have asked. Some of these will be pretty quick too. So let's go ahead and start with some questions that you guys have left for me. First one, would you ever teach watercoloring or gouache painting? So you may know from watching videos in the past that I got really into watercolor and gouache painting about a year ago and just absolutely fell head over heels in love with it. Now, in terms of teaching that, I don't think I would teach it, not at this point, because I still have so much to learn, but something that I would really like to dive back into is gouache painting. I just love the process. In fact, somebody also asked a crafty thing you wish you had more time for, and it would be gouache or watercolor painting. And it's not a matter of like wishing I had more time for it, just making my time to do it. And I would love to do some more gouache kind of exercises out of this book here. I absolutely love this. This is by Agatha Singer. She has a really fantastic Instagram if you want to kind of be inspired by gouache. This is what her artwork looks like. It's just beautiful, and the way that the gouache paint comes and plays across the paper, it's absolutely gorgeous. So if I had to make some more time for something, it would be gouache. In terms of teaching, I don't know if I would get really into teaching it. Maybe I would have fun doing some small tutorials, sharing some things that I've recently learned from the perspective of somebody who recently learned a skill, but that's probably about as far as that would go. Do you have a scrap stash? If so, how do you store it? I do. It's this basket right here. And I actually did a whole video on like scraps and patterns that you can use to knit your scraps. But this is my basket of said scraps, and I keep it in the back corner of my office. What is your favorite book series? Or book? What is your favorite book or book series? So I read that one ahead of time, so I was prepared. So I brought this here. This is my favorite series of books. This is by S.J. Parris. These are all books chronicling, well, it's not really chronicling the life of Giordano Bruno, but it's kind of murder mysteries and thrillers where Giordano Bruno, who was kind of like he wasn't really an alchemist. He was just, you know, a philosopher during 16th century, I guess you could say. And they're fascinating stories, primarily because they're murder mysteries and they're thrillers, and I absolutely love that. But I particularly love it when there is like an element of history that I can learn while reading. So these are my favorite books, I guess my favorite book series. I will link to that down below if you're interested. Would you be interested in doing any more yarn dyeing videos? I get this question a lot. I don't know. Yes, in a sense. There are some things I want to explore with yarn dyeing. For example, natural dyeing. And so if that's the case and I'm doing some exploration where I'm learning, then yes, I would definitely be interested in sharing that. So I'm not sure. It really just depends. How did you learn to create such professional videos? First of all, thank you. That means more than you know. Second of all, it's been trial and error and experience. I don't have an actual background in video editing or film or anything like that. I have kind of just developed my understanding of how to record videos and cameras and photography and videography from watching YouTube videos and listening to people reading things and just learning from experience. You can go back to my very first video and really watch like a progression in like the filming and the videography and the style, and you can see that learning process happening. But yeah, it's just been gradual over time and learning from experience. Favorite thing to do other than something fiber related? I have a lot of things that I like to do. When we talked about painting, I love to be outside. I love to go on bike rides with the family. I love to do things like that. But something that you may not know about me, or maybe you have, maybe I've mentioned it in passing, is I really love to play video games. So I know that sounds maybe childish or silly, but I'm super into gaming. I particularly like open world adventure games. Now, when I say video games, I'm not talking like Super Mario Brothers and things like that. I mean, those were great, and I played a lot of those when I was a kid. I'm talking about more immersive video games that are very story driven, that are deep, and have a lot to offer and can really help you kind of just escape. I love games like that. Oh, and because the question might come up, what's one of my favorite video games? Because I've had this asked before. There's a game called Red Dead Redemption 2. It is a fantastic game where you play as an outlaw who is kind of running with this other band of outlaws, and various different things happen, but the story is really rich and engaging and emotional and sad and dramatic, and the game is absolutely beautiful.
There's a good man within you, but he is wrestling with a giant.
And my number 2 spot is The Witcher 3. This is a game that's based off of a series of books by Andrzej Sapkowski called The Witcher, and I love the books. I've read the books. I've watched the show. I'm in love with this video game. It is just so compelling and amazing. And some of you have noticed that I have Geralt of Rivia sitting on my table. He's the main character. He's called a Witcher. Yeah. So that's something I like to do. What can I say? Okay. If you owned a local yarn store and could only stock 3 indie dyers other than Fibre for the People yarn, who would you pick? Okay, I like this question. It's not a hard question for me to answer. First would be Uschita or Uschita. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. Union Fibre and Playful Day Yarns. Without question. Okay, this one absolutely makes my day. Drop the skincare routine. You do not look 39 at all. OMG. I read this one ahead of time, and so I was prepared because, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and indulge you in my skincare routine because it is not anything glamorous. So get ready for it, guys. I wash my face with this. It's your basic, you know, cleanser. This is kind of like my secret weapon. I love this and swear by this. This is organic rosehip seed oil. It has natural retinol in it, or vitamin A, which is fantastic for your skin. 3 or 4 drops of this on my skin after I wash my face. And if you happen to have a beard, this stuff is great. Moisturizer, this is what I use. This is by the company Supergoop. this big bottle of Supergoop Play lotion. It's an SPF 50. I use this on my face. You can get this giant tub on Amazon, and I want to say it's like $70. It's pricey, but it lasts forever. So if this is your only like facial moisturizer, you're gonna have this sucker forever, and it makes it feel like a really good investment. Bedtime, I use this stuff. I use an eye cream. Gotta take care of those eyes, guys. And then this stuff is an overnight replenishing mask. I do this like once or twice a week, sometimes more. It's great. It's by the company Aesop. Learning about a new skincare routine is always good, and that is mine. Okay, if we can't already tell how silly I feel sharing that with you, let's go ahead and move on. I love to know a person's comfort food or foods. What is your go-to? Like I mentioned earlier, my mom's meatballs are a fantastic comfort food. I don't know. I guess like, okay, there's this place in town called Raising Cane's, and they're known for their like chicken fingers, and they're so good. If it's ever like, we don't eat stuff like that very often at all. Which that's good, but there are just those nights where it's like you just want to eat something naughty. So Brandon and I, on those nights, we seem to be kind of like on the same page. We know when it's one of those nights, and so we'll be in the kitchen kind of trying to figure out what we're gonna do, and then we have that like moment where we just kind of look at each other and we're like, you want to do Raising Cane's? And then it's like, yeah, that's what we're doing. Cake or pie? This one really depends. There's a place in town called Nothing Bundt Cake.
Bun? Bunt. Bonk, bonk. Bunt.
And they make the best cake. So if it's that cake over some pie, it's cake for sure. However, I love a good like tart cherry pie, or like a peach pie. And I feel like if I had two like just basic general cake here and like a really nice cherry or peach pie, I would definitely go for the pie. Do you sometimes dream of having a daughter to live the cliche idea of a knitting duo? No. My brother has 2 daughters, and I love them dearly, and that's all I need in terms of little children in my life that are girls. And then of course the children of friends that we have, I love them. I do not want to have daughters. I am very happy as a boy mom, just absolutely, because I am a girl, and I was a daughter, and I don't want that. If you're a parent of daughters, my hat is off to you. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Why did you get a pixie cut, and why are you growing it out? Okay, so I have always had, not always had, but for the longest time, I mean, we can go all the way back, I don't know, since I was in my early 20s, and even a little before that, I've always had really short hair. No, like since I was like 17, I've had really short hair. And then I went to like the whole Jean Seberg pixie cut, and that carried me until I got this really kind of interesting undercut where I had like really long hair and it was really short on the sides, kind of flopped over. If you're familiar with the podcast, you remember that phase. I buzzed my head not long ago just to get that really short like Sinead look. And then I just decided like, I'm just gonna let it go. I don't know. It's like this weird thing that I'm doing right now, and I usually can't do it. It's really hard. I get to a point where I just can't and I cut it off, but I'm doing it right now. I'm just letting it go. And I don't really know why. Honestly, I don't know what I'm after. I don't know what it's becoming. It's just gonna grow, and then when it gets to this place, then I'll figure it out. But at this point, I honestly can't tell you what I'm doing with it. Really, but it's there right now, and we're gonna see where it takes us. Favorite breakfast? I'm not a big breakfast eater. I had, coffee. Does coffee count? Coffee doesn't count, but I'm not a big breakfast eater, so it's like banana, maybe oatmeal. I like cream of wheat, but I'm just not a big breakfast person. I don't know. Coffee and a banana. How did you meet Brandon? Okay, this is a good one and maybe a good place to end it because this is a cute story. I met Brandon. Did I talk about this on the Q&A? Hold on, before I go into all this, if I already talked about this, I don't want to bring it up all over again. Let's see. Okay, no. How did I meet Brandon? Well, it was the summer before my last year of college where I was going to become a student teacher, and I needed to get kind of like not like a part-time job, but like a summer job. And so my mom and I were shopping at this natural food store in town called Sunflower Market. And just grocery shopping, and I noticed this tall drink of water working in the bakery section. So handsome, wearing like the white bakery jacket. He caught my eye, And I think he kind of noticed me, but you could tell he was that type who like wouldn't want you to know he noticed you. I don't know. So we were shopping there. I noticed him. And then like there were a few grocery shopping visits that I was going on. I was living at home. So I was with my mom that I would volunteer myself to go with her because I knew this guy was working in the bakery section at this grocery store. So it was, I think like the third visit where I decided to put an application in at this grocery store to get a job there. Because, you know, hey, how do you meet people at a grocery store? It's like one of those like places where you hear that people meet, you know, the love of their life. So I put an application in, I get a phone call from the manager, they hire me. Long story short, I become the front end manager. So like the manager on duty at all the checkout stands, which was like super, I'd never had experience doing that before. I'm not really sure why they gave me that position, but it was fine. And I was taking like the early shift. So I was there bright and early in the morning, the same time that the bakery manager got there, which happened to be Brandon. And so we started, you know, arriving to work early and just kind of like glancing over at each other. And he would come and like buy a muffin and like a drink in my check stand. And I was always so nervous. Finally, I just got to this point because he was so shy that he would like smile and give me the eyes and everything or whatever, I don't even know. And finally I got to this place where I was like, you know, screw it. I'm going to take this situation by the reins. And so I asked him out on a date to a movie. And we went and saw that movie Talladega Nights.
Answer me this. When you're in spa mode, how come the water level drops in the spa?
And then it was like, that the rest is history. So we started dating in 2006. And we became engaged almost to two. It hadn't. I don't even think we were dating for 6 months before he popped the question, and we didn't actually get married in 2010. So we had a long engagement, which was a good thing. That's how we met. I kind of like friendly stalked him at the grocery store and got a job with the intention of like getting to know this guy better. What does that even say about me? I don't know, but he is the absolute love of my life, and I am so happy I did that. Because I know sometimes you got to take the horse by the reins and just make it happen. And I am so happy that I did. And here we are 17 years later, and we've been married since 2010 and happy as ever. So that is how I met Brandon and asked him out on our first date. Well, there you have it, guys. A little bit more about me. It's cool to be able to share these things with you. I wish, I'm having this conversation with you, but I'm not getting anything back immediately. And that's why I value the comment sections of these videos. So what I'd like you to do is if there's any questions in here that are compelling to you that you would like to answer, drop an answer down in the comment section. Answer some of these questions and let me learn a little bit about you as well, because you guys are what make this whole thing go around, and it means so much to me that you are here. Thank you for taking the time to just hang with me as I share these little bits and pieces of myself with you. It means a lot to me as always. If you enjoyed yourself or took anything from this video, definitely don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, especially if you subscribe and click that bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. I am gonna go now and get myself ready because we're going to a pasta shop for dinner tonight for my birthday, and I'm super excited about that. So until the next time we meet, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye. (5'4". How many centimeters is 5'4"? How do you, what is it like when you're in another country? 5'4" inches? European heights.